welcome back. All right, it is time to get real. It was March 19th. California's governor addressed his state, mandating that businesses and commerce come to a halt. Residents had to pretty much hunker down for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so. Now, first, let's try and set the stage out in Cali. It's the fifth largest economy in the world. Well, it was before the lockdown craziness. The economy in that state and around our country was booming prior to March. Unemployment at an all-time low for every sector. Women, Latinos, blacks. In fact, if you'll recall, there were reports out that said there were more jobs available in this country than there were people to work them. Then COVID hit. We didn't know much, thanks to China concealing the facts from us. The experts and scientists went back and forth for weeks and now months on who was at risk, how long the virus could last on surfaces, how it was actually transmitted. You remember all the chaos and uncertainty that we all felt. I know I did. But I was optimistic that we'd get through it, we'd reopen, and we would continue on with our wonderful American lives. But then weeks turned into months. And then a phrase came out, the new normal. It then became the narrative. Well, I, for one, say to hell with that new normal. I want my country back. But I'm getting off track, so let's get back to California and the draconian mandates that Governor Gavin Newsom has implemented that have literally decimated thousands upon thousands of small businesses, livelihoods just crushed, families pushed to the point of poverty. Now let me just say, I'm not saying that precautions did not need to be taken. Of course they did. This virus is real. It is deadly, more deadly than the flu. But let's not forget that the survivability rate is somewhere past 99%. What I'm upset about, as you should be too, is the fact that politicians like Newsom and other liberals have been playing politics with our lives. What do I mean by that? Well, even the director of the CDC just a few weeks ago admitted that a long-term economic shutdown would result in more deaths in several years than COVID would ever cause. That's right, more domestic child abuse, more obesity, more depression, more suicides and murders. And I totally understand that it's a very fine balance these politicians have to do between public health and our safety and restarting the economy. But Mr. Newsom, when you control the fifth largest economy in the world, you don't play politics. We all now know a lot more about this virus than we did back in March. We see who are the most vulnerable, and we know how to prevent it. So why not implement rules for the very small number of those that can be infected and possibly die for it, and get your state, the Golden State, back to work? Why? Because their lives depend on it, Gavin. So why don't you get real? Stop taking marching orders from your Auntie Nancy and get the Golden State back to work. Because from what I hear, you're losing 15,000 people a week, and thousands of businesses are fleeing to other states that have already opened back up, and of course, have a much better tax structure. This is America, home of the free, because of the brave. Right now, you, sir, should be brave. Be brave for your state. Be brave for our country. Open things back up fully. Make the Golden State golden again. Gavin, get real. All right, that's going to do it for our show tonight. We thank you so much for tuning in to Real America right here on One America News. If you'd like to reach out to me, any comments, maybe be a guest, you have someone you want to nominate for our Patriot Report, and just discuss the true facts about what's going on in our country, you can check us out at OANN.com, or you can go to RealAmerica.com. Our guests tomorrow night, we've got some great ones.
Well, I'm going to leave it right here.
Hodge twins that are all over social media, congressional candidate Kimberly Klacik, and also congressional candidate Madison Hawthorne. I hope to join us then, but until
Good morning to all my fellow Americans, to all members of the DAV, for which I am a member, Chapter 11, and to all members of all organizations, and never forget those who have made the ultimate sacrifices in order to keep our country free. State of Florida, don't forget to vote for Maria Elvira Salazar for Congress. She'll straighten Congress out and put a stop to the determination to these communists to destroy our country. And another thing, Donald Trump, let's see if we can do like we did with Venezuela. Let's see if we can freeze the accounts of the communists in Cuba. In Venezuela, where we passed the presidency to Juan Guaido, Let's do the same with Cuba. Let's give it temporarily to Jose Daniel Ferrer Garcia, who loves his country and wants it free, until there's free elections. As temporary president of the Republic of Cuba. Because he wants his country free, and we need to put a stop to what's happening to the country, to the island of Cuba, which has been under this disastrous communist regime for over 61 years. Okay, let me, I'm gonna go to another video before I be leaving with this one. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Okay, yes, on the bottom. Okay. I was once in California when I joined the Marines, and it was great. It was a great place to live. California was great. San Diego was great. And then I went not too long ago with my wife to California because I wanted to take her to the base where I took my first training, which is called Henderson Field. And I started seeing a whole bunch of tents and people all around the place, you know, the bums and I don't know. I wouldn't like to call them bums. How do you call it? Homeless people is more a correct word. You know, I love the Mexican people. There were a lot of hardworking Mexican people, very friendly, at the hotel we stayed at, and you know, I met a lot of good ones, and like everywhere, you you meet good and you meet bad ones too. But basically, I met a lot of good ones. And it's sad to see how this governor, this communist or socialist, whatever you want to call it, they're the same thing. They're the same thing. Has destroyed the economy to such a point where you see the area deteriorating without any need for that. It's sad. It's sad to see that. Gavin Newsom and all these other Democrats, they should be in prison. I can't figure out why they're not arrested. I can't figure out why people vote for them. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Let me, like I said, I want to leave with this last video. And like I always say, Donald Trump, I always pray for you and your family. God bless you. And the same with Mike Pence. And I always pray that God protect you too. And also, talking about God protect you, there was this one person, I think it was a lady, I don't know if she's a Muslim, who tried to send a raisin to Donald Trump. You know, these people are out to murder our duly elected and beloved president. And I hope they pay the price. They should pay the price. In other countries, they would just be executed immediately. But here, we have pity with them and just let them slide. I can't figure out that one. So, like I said, I'm leaving with this last video. God bless you all. I'll see you soon. I stand with God and Israel eternally, and God bless our country. Excuse me for that one. And God bless our country eternally also. So here we go. The potential person that Donald Trump is going to put as Supreme Court judge. Let me see. Let's see who she is. Her name is Amy Coney. Here we go.
Es la temporada de influenza. La vacuna anual contra la influenza lo protege de graves complicaciones de salud.
Back, sources telling Fox News just now that President Trump met with potential Supreme Court nominee Judge Amy Coney Barrett at the White House today.
For Fox News.
Barrett is thought to be a frontrunner. Meantime, many on the left furious with Republicans' plan to fill the now vacant Supreme Court seat. Protesters even showing up outside the homes of Senators Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, and Democrats and some of the media are ramping up their rhetoric. Take a look.
We need to be out in the streets. We need protests out there every single day.
They are so beneath any kind of
Freeze all you want, still gonna show it.
Plus helicopters, and there's still nothing. The Army says, okay, we'll one-up you. We're going to send 140 special forces, so Green Berets, to assist in the search, and they're going to search 24 hours a day until we find this kid. And so all of these Army Special Forces special operators show up. I mean, I was a Navy SEAL. I can tell you they know what they're doing. They're very comfortable navigating in that area. They don't take any breaks. They're out overnight. They got night vision on. Nothing. It's like he just evaporated. Then, on July 9th, 7 days after this child went missing, and with the exception of the first night, every subsequent night had been below freezing. The weather had been bad. He wasn't dressed for the elements. He was a young kid. He didn't have survival skills. He had nothing to protect himself. After a week, searchers find him inside of a blackberry thicket. This was an area that had been searched by hundreds of people over a 7-day period. The investigators were baffled, but that's just the beginning of the strangeness of this case. When he came out of the thicket, when searchers saw him there, he looked like he was in good health. They would say that his hair looked like it had been recently washed, like with shampoo. His skin was clean, like he had taken a shower. His clothes were tattered, as if he had been walking around the woods a little bit. But all in all, he looked very well kept. He looked healthy. He did not strike anybody as someone who had been repeatedly exposed to freezing temperatures and no food or water for a week. He had no signs of hypothermia. He didn't even look emaciated. Everyone is obviously overjoyed that they've found this child, so not too many questions are raised about why in the world he showed up in the one place that they know they've searched dozens of times. Everyone's like, you know what, we're just glad we found this child. So they bring him to a hospital, and doctors look at him and they say, you know, besides a couple scratches here and there, he's okay. And they did a psych evaluation, and he was stable and lucid, and everything seemed fine. At this point, police asked him what happened. The boy says that he left the spigot and went to a cabin, a nearby abandoned cabin. And he went in there, and there was someone waiting for him. And he said he spent the week there with this person. But he was never able to fully articulate what the person looked like, what they sounded like, who they were. But they were there with him the whole time. At one point, he thought it might have been his grandfather, but his grandfather was deceased. And Michael knew that. He even said, he's like, I feel like it was my grandfather, but I know my grandfather's dead. So even Michael is unable to describe who this person he was there with. But even
Yes, here once again, the video had froze on me, but I'm gonna go with the last part of the video. I wanna finish it up, so here, like I said, God bless you all, bye-bye.
This people, it is not hyperbole. The actual balance of our democracy rests in the actions that we choose to make. Let this moment radicalize you.
All right.
Radicalize,
If there are calls for more
that's all the
protests,
communists think
don't you
about,
think that
rag-
gives Republicans
radicalize.
more ad fodder to aim at the suburbs?
Absolutely, because the protests won't be peaceful. They will end up being, I mean, Lynch just pointed out, they're essentially calling for unrest in the streets. And these are Democrats that could not condemn for months violence, mayhem, rioting, looting, and destruction of people's livelihoods across this country. But now this is okay. It would be laughable if it wasn't so dangerous.
And radical, she said, AOC says it's got to be radicalized, and this is not hyperbole, Greg.
No, but you know, I was laughing at it, but in their minds, it's not hyperbole. This is intimidation. And remember, when they go to people's houses, they're not going to intimidate, they're not going to those houses to intimidate those specific people. That's to intimidate everybody else.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's basically saying, you're next. We're going to do this to McConnell, but maybe Jesse, you're going to be next. And this is what this does, is it scares the crap out of people who should be speaking up. So you're going to see moderate Democrats silent, anchors in TV shows, Emmy nominees, CEOs in corporations. These are the people that are always going to be thinking, you know, this crocodile might eat Dagan McDowell, but that crocodile's not going to eat me. But sooner or later, that crocodile eats everybody who stays quiet. It's and the worst thing about it is you keep hearing all these people say, "Burn it down." Oh, if this nomination happens, burn it down. You're saying that after $1 billion of damage was done, but businesses and homes were burned down. No class at all. And I'll make one last point. If the government doesn't step up and deal with this violence, it's going to be up to the public, because this is truly taxation without representation, right? If you're not being protected, but you're paying your taxes, that Second Amendment starts looking miraculous.
One, can the Democrats take this energy and turn it into votes for Joe Biden?
Sure. I mean, look, I don't think you need AOC, Michael Moore, anybody else to make this case, because people are so upset over what is taking place. This is an abuse of power. This is breaking down American institutions. By the way, Dagan, they had people protesting, as you said, at McConnell's house, at Lindsey Graham's house. There's no violence. It's a legitimate protest.
Not yet.
If they went to your house. You were trying to make the case, pushing the fear button. Oh gosh, this is going to result.
I actually saw what happened in New York City in May, in June, in July, in August, and I've been attacked.
Now you're talking about something that doesn't exist. And this is my point to you. There was no violence.
Does exist.
There's no violence. In fact, today.
My entire neighborhood was looted.
Oh, stop. Look. No,
And they won't stop.
Oh, yeah. New
What do you
York
mean
is so
stop,
terrible.
Juan?
Let me just tell
Just
you.
'cause you were living in
Let me-
DC
oh,
doesn't mean
I'm
suburbs.
here right now.
You
I'm
will
walking
be
down this
humiliated.
path.
You
I'm
will
walking
be
down the street.
humiliated.
The cops
Come
look
back,
bored.
pictures.
There's nobody here. That's how bad the cops look bored. That's what's going on. But my point to you is, look.
50% jump in murder rate in August.
Williams is a communist douchebag.
Let me just say to your point, Dana, I don't approve of protests at people's homes.
Isn't it that
I don't
he's
think
stupid,
that's
he's evil?
okay. But I do think
Just like the rest of the
that when
Democrats.
people say that they are upset here, they have a legitimate right to protest, and that's what you're going to see.
All right, Jesse, can you be quick?
It's not abuse of power. And if it was, impeach him a second time, Juan. My point is this. They have to go crazy because the judicial branch is almost all the left has. All of their stuff is so borderline unconstitutional. It's so unpopular. They can't get it through the House and the Senate. They can't get a president to sign the stuff. They rely on judicial activism. Look at Pennsylvania. You know what they did, Dana? They said signatures don't have to match on ballots. So you could have someone with this beautiful cursive signature send in something with chicken scratch in capital letters, and you can't challenge that. And then they said you can send in a ballot. It can come in 3 days after the election, no postage, and you have to accept that.
All right, we got to. That is